This program contains graphic violence and sexual situations. Viewer discretion is advised. In 2013, a young man is gunned down in cold blood.
This is a 27-year-old man whose life was cut tragically short.
The shooter is not only a close friend of the victim, but also a rising star in professional football.
Aaron Hernandez became the youngest player in the NFL.
He seems to have it all. Millions of dollars, a mansion, and a beautiful, longtime girlfriend.
Everyone loved Aaron. Every guy wanted to be Aaron, and all the girls wanted to be with him.
But off the field, his life is one fueled by drugs.
Unfortunately, he turned to PCP.
A fascination with guns.
He sought out the gangster lifestyle, and that's what he wanted.
And paranoia.
You know what's wrong with the world today? You just can't trust anyone anymore.
According to police, he fires shots that wound 3 men and kill 3 others.
Yo, what's up now?
The speculation was that Aaron Hernandez fired bullets into the car from a semi-automatic handgun.
He not only destroyed his own life, he destroyed the lives of 3 other men.
What secrets did he hide?
Aaron Hernandez was very deceitful and lived a shocking, secret double life off the field.
And what spurred him to do the unspeakable?
I never thought one man could cause so much destruction.
Meet Aaron Hernandez, a handsome young athlete with a bright future and everything to live for, until murder made him famous. "90 minutes after his arrest in 2013, Aaron Hernandez was released from the New England Patriots.
Aaron Hernandez's career was just getting started. He was 23 years old when he was arrested and charged with murder, and he had just signed a big $40 million contract extension.
The news media scrutinized every aspect of his life in reports on television, in newspapers, and magazines.
Esquire magazine described Aaron Hernandez as the most infamous accused killer in Massachusetts since Lizzie Borden.
When you step away from the sensational aspect of it, you are left with a man who had so much talent, so much to offer children who are inspired by sports, inspired in this state in particular by the Patriots.
The former role model's thuggish, bar-fighting, pot-smoking past comes to the surface, and social media heats up with conflicting opinions.
It was everywhere. Sports programs and websites were all debating whether he was innocent or guilty. The fans had their say, and even the hashtag #FreeHernandez popped up on Twitter.
Hernandez was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of his friend, Odin Lloyd.
It'll be a good day when the media remembers the name Odin Lloyd and can forget the name Aaron Hernandez.
While on trial for Lloyd's murder, he was also indicted for the 2012 double homicide of 2 other men.
It's an unbelievable tale of horror and sadness.
But days after his acquittal in 2017 for the double murder, Hernandez decides to evade justice.
The shocking news comes out that Aaron Hernandez has killed himself in his cell overnight. It was a stunning turn of events.
The media was once again set ablaze with more questions.
How did this happen? How did they allow this to happen in the prison? Why wasn't he on a stricter watch? And the whole thing is just tragic.
Author James Patterson wrote a book about Aaron Hernandez, and he described him as an all-pro football player who operated like a serial killer.
Born in 1989 in Bristol, Connecticut, to his mother, Terry, and father, Dennis, Aaron Hernandez grows up in a middle-class household with his brother, DJ.
He was always a great athlete. I mean, from 10 years old, everyone in the area knew that he would be something special, but he never carried himself in that way. He always carried himself just as one of the guys.
Football became part of his life very early, and his father was a high school football star who was determined that his boys would also play football. So he very early pushed them both into the sport.
Bristol, Connecticut, it has its bad areas, but for the most part, it's a place where you can raise a family and you don't have to worry too much about gang violence and things like that.
on, keep your arms up, your legs.
Aaron plans to play football for the University of Connecticut.
His father was a legend as far as Connecticut athletics and UConn athletics, and he was slated to go. He actually accepted a scholarship to go to UConn, following his brother's and father's footsteps.
His father was extremely regimented, an amazing athlete, very strict. And, you know, when you looked at the upbringing of Aaron and his family, Aaron was an extremely good student. Right? I mean, people think of him as an amazing athlete. He was an extremely good student. He was known for his compassion. He was known for his kindness. He was known for a lot of things. But I also think that when you grow up with a strict father who had celebrity status, it's an awful lot of pressure for a kid, no matter how great an athlete he was.
When Aaron is 16, his father dies suddenly from complications after hernia surgery.
When he died young at 49 years old, it was a huge tragedy, and it was an enormous turning point for Aaron Hernandez. He would never be the same.
When you lose that role model and your life has been about regimentation and you've been expected to live up to something, you become rudderless.
Friends would say that after his father died, something changed in Aaron Hernandez.
A switch just went off where everything that he was about, he became the opposite.
It was in high school when Aaron Hernandez started dating Shayanna Jenkins.
She's stunning, and Aaron Hernandez was gorgeous, and they were the golden couple of their high school. Athletes, and strong and healthy and young, and in love.
Hi, Aaron.
What's up?
I'm like right here.
Aaron's mother, Terry, quickly remarries, and Aaron allegedly does not get along with his new stepfather. As a result, he spends a lot of time hanging out with friends and relatives who have criminal records. Sources say his new social circle is a bad influence on him. But this isn't the only change in Aaron's life.
He graduates high school early. He's actually set to go to UConn. That's really almost like becoming a pro athlete at 17 years old.
After his father dies, Aaron changes his mind about where he will play college football. He chooses the University of Florida and joins its football team, the Florida Gators. He is now living 1,000 miles away from home and without adult supervision.
At the University of Florida, Aaron Hernandez's coach decided that he needed a good influence on his life. So he paired him up with the clean-cut quarterback of the team, Tim Tebow. The whole idea was that Tebow was going to help keep him out of trouble, but unfortunately, even Tim Tebow couldn't do that.
Hernandez and Tebow are at a local hangout when a waitress brings the underage Aaron 2 shots. Hernandez allegedly drinks the shots, but when it comes time for the bill, he refuses to pay.
I'm telling you, I didn't order those drinks.
Well, somebody did, and somebody drank them, and my server said that it was you, so you gotta pay for it.
Like hell I am.
Hey, calm down. You don't want to cause any trouble, right? Especially during your freshman year.
The manager insists, and Tebow offers to pay for the drinks. But Aaron will have none of that.
That was how Aaron Hernandez dealt with everything. Violently, suddenly, without warning, and without explanation.
Landed a punch right on the side of his head, busted his eardrum, severely impacted the man's hearing, and was never charged in it.
A settlement was reached between the university and the manager who Aaron had punched, but Aaron never faced any charges.
While in Florida, Hernandez adds several tattoos to his body.
On his neck, on his hands, there were all these tattoos, and it's shocking. You go back and look at photos of him in college, and he's starting to get a few tattoos. And I think in Gainesville, his body was a canvas of tattoos by the time he was done. I think it shows, you know, how little respect he had for himself, how little of a self-image that he had, that he just wanted to cover himself with these tattoos and embrace, you know, these gangster and, you know, violent imagery.
This is a trend he will continue throughout his life.
In addition to football, Aaron Hernandez had another interest, marijuana.
Blame it on the drugs.
Being so far away from his brother, being so far away from home, having no supervision, I think really led Hernandez down the wrong path.
Hernandez fails a drug test and is suspended from the team. His punishment is light, however. and lasts for only one game before he's back on the field with the Gators.
They kind of ran wild in that program. They had 31 arrests of players in just 6 years. When you want to win national championships, you take some risks on some guys with some behavioral issues.
Hernandez was performing really well on the field, but he was failing to stay out of trouble off the field.
In 2007, Aaron Hernandez confronts a group of young men whom he believes stole a neck chain from a fellow football player.
You think you stole one of my boys' necklace like that? Man, I ain't steal nothing.
I think it was an early sign that Hernandez has a quick trigger when it comes to his temper and is maybe someone whose behavior was pretty unpredictable.
Former Florida Gator Reggie Nelson is with Hernandez and attempts to play peacemaker. He knows Randall Kaysen, one of the young men in the other group.
Come on, guys, let's all just chill out. Nobody wants no trouble here, right? It ain't worth it. You cool, Randy?
It seemed like things were settled, but a few minutes later, all hell broke loose.
The two men in the front are wounded, but Randall Kaysen is unharmed.
The shooting victims survived the attack, and they were able to give some information to the police. They described their assailant as either Hispanic or Hawaiian with a lot of tattoos. The speculation was that Aaron Hernandez fired bullets into the car from a semi-automatic handgun. Aaron Hernandez invoked his right to counsel and never gave a statement. He wasn't even named as a suspect.
One of the shooting victims will eventually recant his statement about the assailant's appearance. Other witnesses allege the gunman is an African-American male with cornrows. As a result, police will never be able to positively connect Aaron to the assault. Hernandez's behavior, both actual and alleged, is seemingly tolerated because of his performance on the football field. While in Florida, Hernandez carries out a long-distance relationship with high school girlfriend Cheyenne Jenkins.
They became very tight, and she became part of his inner circle.
Cheyenne is across the country attending a community college near their hometown of Bristol, Connecticut.
Hi.
Got things back home.
I miss you.
I miss you too, babe. I'm gonna send you something so you don't miss me so much.
Okay.
As he continues to play for the Gators over the next few seasons, scouts evaluate Hernandez for the upcoming NFL draft. Their reports on Hernandez aren't exactly stellar.
NFL scouts were certainly on to Hernandez's behavioral issues. And the scouting report said, self-esteem is quite low, not well adjusted emotionally, not happy, moods unpredictable, not stable, doesn't take much to set him off. That's kind of harrowing to read in hindsight.
There were very astute reports done about him that showed that he could not handle this life.
The Wall Street Journal reported that Hernandez was given a personality test before the draft, and he scored a 1 for social maturity.
And so therefore, a lot of teams that would have been interested in him walked away.
Just before the NFL draft begins, Hernandez writes a letter to the New England Patriots, admitting past mistakes and offering to undergo 8 drug tests if drafted.
He said, look, I know that I have some issues with marijuana and some other behavioral issues. I promise you that I will never fail a drug test and I will behave if you draft me. If I fail a test, you can take back some of my signing bonus. If you take a gamble on me, it will pay off and I will be a good player for you. And when the 4th round came around, the Patriots finally decided that the risk was worth the reward, and they took a gamble on Hernandez with the 113th draft pick.
In 2010, Aaron Hernandez joins the New England Patriots. He starts the season as the youngest player in the NFL and is quickly recognized as one of the best tight ends in the league.
Aaron Hernandez played the most difficult position other than quarterback. Tight end
It's an integral position to the game for a number of reasons, because in every play, you're either running or you're passing.
Real versatility is required at that position, and Aaron Hernandez had it down.
Aaron Hernandez understood the game and applied his athleticism to the game in a way that very few players do.
Aaron Hernandez buys a 7,000 square foot mansion in a Boston suburb.
Aaron Hernandez loved the party lifestyle.
In the basement of the house, Aaron hangs out with friends and often smokes marijuana.
One of his close friends was Alexander Bradley, who was also his marijuana dealer.
Alexander Bradley and Aaron Hernandez were very tight. They were very close friends.
Aaron also frequently parties with people from his past.
Some of the friends are from Aaron's hometown of Bristol, Connecticut, just a short drive from Foxborough, Massachusetts, where he now lived.
It is very easy to get your buddies to Foxborough, hang out in your mansion, do what you want to do. The influences that he should have been running away from were only 2 hours away.
I think he embraced the unsavory characters from his past. He sought them out, and that's what he wanted. So I don't think Aaron Hernandez was a victim here. I think he sought out the gangster lifestyle.
When he was playing for the Patriots, Aaron's girlfriend, Shayanna Jenkins, moved in with him. Shayanna would later say that she had to make some compromises to be with Aaron, and that included his infidelity.
But life isn't all roses for Aaron and Shayanna.
Aaron and Shayanna argued a lot, and sometimes those arguments got so loud that the neighbors would complain about the noise and the cops had to come out.
We received a message or service call from one of your neighbors. Is everything okay?
We just had a little argument. Everything's okay here.
Ma'am, is that true?
I said we're okay.
Sir, I wasn't asking you, I was asking her. Ma'am, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Are you sure? Do you want to press any charges or file a complaint?
No, like I said, we're good.
Well, you two, you keep it down in there, all right?
In July of 2012, Hernandez and Alexander Bradley hang out at a Boston club called Cure Lounge. Also at the club that night are two men from the Canary Islands, Safiro Furtado and Daniel de Abreu.
Just run-of-the-mill guys from Dorchester, pretty humble people. They just went to a club, that's it. You know, they had the bad luck of running into Aaron Hernandez. One of them knocks into Aaron Hernandez, causing him to spill his drink on himself.
That bastard didn't even apologize.
Bro, just chill, bro.
Man, he did it on purpose. That guy's trying.
Man, look, man, he just out there having a good time. He didn't even know you was there, bro. Relax, come on, calm down.
And that's it. That's the moment. That's where they sealed their fate.
Aaron Hernandez had a short fuse, and if he ever thought he was being disrespected, his temper would explode. And in this case, it's alleged that he took his anger to extreme levels.
There, pull up beside them.
Hernandez and his car, they pulled up alongside with them, and Hernandez opened the window.
Yo! Yo! What's up now?
And again, this was over a spilled drink in a club, supposedly, and so it just shows how unstable that Aaron Hernandez was.
Don't tell anybody. Don't say nothing.
The motive in the 2012 murder is tragically absurd. It's the only way to describe it, absurd.
Hernandez will hide the vehicle he and Bradley used in his uncle's garage. There, it will remain hidden for almost a year.
For many months, police have no idea what happened to these two men. There had been no word of an altercation in the club. Witnesses couldn't point to anything that led to this murder.
A few short weeks later, Aaron's concern turns to his future with the New England Patriots.
In 2012, Aaron accepted a 5-year, $40 million contract that also included a $12.5 million signing bonus.
But that's not the only good news for Aaron Hernandez.
Later in 2012, Shayanna Jenkins is pregnant with Aaron's first child. And on the day of her shower, she gets a surprise.
Today was a good day.
I know something that might make it even better. Will you marry me?
On the football field, Hernandez performs for the Patriots and head coach Bill Belichick.
And he turned out to be a very good player for him. Bill Belichick used Aaron Hernandez in all different types of situations, entrusted him to play several positions: running back, tight end, H-back, wide receiver. Hernandez was a big part of that offense.
But confidence on the football field doesn't carry over into the private life of Aaron Hernandez.
Alexander Bradley would claim that Aaron became very paranoid and was convinced that he was being followed.
Miami, 2013. Aaron Hernandez and Alexander Bradley are out partying at local clubs, but Aaron is upset.
You okay? You see those guys back at the club? I think they were undercover cops. Man, you're imagining things. Gotta make sure they're not following us.
If they are, it's because of that crap you pulled in Boston.
The next night, Hernandez and Bradley visit local strip clubs, and after they leave, things take a darker turn.
Alexander Bradley goes out partying again with Aaron and two other friends. He falls asleep in the car, but he wakes up when the car comes to a stop.
Shot his friend, Alex Bradley, in the face, and then dumped his body on the side of the road. This is the type of person we're dealing with in Aaron Hernandez. This is someone, you only find a character like this in the movies.
Alexander Bradley survived, but he refused to tell the cops who had shot him. He would later say that he was planning his own revenge.
The single gunshot will eventually cause Alexander Bradley to lose his right eye. Back home in Boston, Hernandez continues his downward spiral.
According to friends, Aaron started using PCP, also known as angel dust, and it can cause hallucinations.
He was doing a lot of PCP and things at that time. He was just living a reckless life. I think that he didn't understand and count his blessings because he thought that he became invincible at some point where regardless of what he was gonna do, as long as he performed well on Sunday, everything else would be taken care of.
And Hernandez associates with a rough crowd.
It seemed like he really sought out the gangster lifestyle and he got a thrill out of it. No one could get to him. No one could help him understand how much he had at stake. You just wanted to take Aaron Hernandez and just shake him and say, Aaron, do you realize what you have at stake here and how much he had to lose by engaging in the conduct that he was?
Aaron Hernandez was getting into all sorts of trouble, and things reached their breaking point with his boss.
Belichick had meetings with Hernandez and he tried to give him advice. I don't think Belichick knew that Hernandez was brandishing a gun at all times or smoking PCP off the field.
According to a report by Rolling Stone, Belichick issues Hernandez an ultimatum.
So, you miss physical therapy, and then you blow off the receiver training camp that Brady's running. Just blow it off. And now you've got cops showing up at your place. What the hell is going on with you?
I got into it with some bad people, Coach. Gangsters.
Look, you need to clean up your life and get it together, okay? Otherwise, if there are any more disruptions, I will either trade you or I will cut you at the end of the season. And that's a promise. That is a promise. You got it?
Yes, sir.
I don't think Belichick would have had Hernandez on the team and entrusted him with so many roles if he knew that he was doing these things off the field.
Despite promising to turn his life around, Aaron Hernandez continues his hard partying ways. By 2013, Aaron has made a new friend named Odin Lloyd. Unbeknownst to both Hernandez and Lloyd, their lives will soon become irreversibly linked.
Aaron Hernandez met Odin Lloyd because Odin was dating the sister of Cheyenne Jenkins, Aaron's fiance.
Aaron Hernandez and Odin Lloyd met like many people do, through their girlfriends. They struck a friendship, probably bonded over football.
He played on a semi-pro team here locally, the Bandits, and a very good player. He used that not just to play sports, but to mentor others, and was a larger-than-life character.
Hernandez and Lloyd reportedly have another connection, smoking marijuana together. Hernandez gives Lloyd the nickname Blunt Master. Cheyenne Jenkins will later allege that Odin Lloyd was his drug dealer. In June of 2013, Hernandez and Lloyd visit a Boston night spot called Club Rumor. The men Odin Lloyd greets have an immediate and apparent dislike of Aaron Hernandez.
Man, your friend a funny boy.
Hey, man, stop pointing, man.
Whoever these men were, they didn't like Aaron Hernandez, and he didn't like them.
He's a punk.
The identities of the men have never been confirmed. Some sources say they are Odin Lloyd's cousins. Others speculate that they are friends of Safiro Furtado and Daniel de Abreu, the two men allegedly shot and killed by Hernandez the previous year. Aaron accuses Odin of allowing the two men to disrespect him, and his rage seethes.
Aaron, calm down. Strength.
Two days later, on June 16, 2013, Aaron Hernandez sends a text to Odin Lloyd telling him he's swinging by Odin's house to pick him up.
Aaron Hernandez went with his friends Carlos Ortiz and Ernest Wallace, who had known Aaron for years and themselves had criminal records, and they went to pick up Odin Lloyd.
As he leaves, Odin notices that his sister, Shaquila, and her boyfriend are nearby. They will be the last people to see Odin alive.
One would think that if Odin Lloyd knew that Aaron Hernandez was angry at him, that he probably would not have gotten into that car. By all indications, he never said that there was a problem between him and Aaron Hernandez.
Hey, yo, Aaron. You all right, man?
You know what's wrong with the world today? You just can't trust anyone anymore.
One can only assume that when Aaron Hernandez picked up Odin Lloyd that night, that Odin Lloyd went into that car thinking he was just hanging out with his buddy again.
In the back of the car, Odin begins texting his sister.
It seems like he was texting her to let her know, hey, I'm hanging out with Aaron, but he used words to the effect of NFL, just so you know.
By texting his sister about who he was with, was Odin Lloyd signaling that he knew something bad was going to happen? We'll never know the answer to that.
There was no indication just from that text alone that there was something wrong.
But something is very wrong, and Odin Lloyd has only a few more minutes to live.
Odin, how about you and I have a talk?
Aaron Hernandez shoots Odin Lloyd 5 times.
It was like an execution. At age 27, Odin Lloyd was shot dead. And for what reason?
When it comes to the motive for why he killed Odin Lloyd, I still believe the most obvious explanation. He was afraid that Odin Lloyd was going to squeal about the double murder that had happened the previous year in the South End.
Hernandez, Wallace, and Ortiz go back to Hernandez's mansion. A security camera, which will later be disabled, captures their next moves. Aaron holds what appears to be a gun in his hand.
Odin Lloyd would be found the next day by a young teenager taking a run.
Hours after Lloyd's murder, Hernandez calls his fiancée, Cheyenne Jenkins, and makes an unusual request.
Cheyenne, I need you to do something for me.
Yeah, what's up?
There's a box down in the basement. I need you to get rid of it. Just get it out of the house.
Why? Like, what's in it?
You don't need to know. Just get rid of it. Do it quickly.
The prosecution will later argue that the murder weapon was in the box, and Cheyenne Jenkins helped dispose of it. Police investigating Odin Lloyd's murder find a wealth of evidence.
One of the investigating officers couldn't believe the stupidity of this crime. Odin Lloyd still had his wallet, his phone, and keys to a car that had been rented by Aaron Hernandez. What's more, this whole thing went down less than a mile from Aaron Hernandez's home.
Authorities also find video surveillance footage that has captured many of the events of June 16th and 17th, 2013.
You had so much evidence putting these men together. It was all captured on video. It was captured at the gas station, and you see Aaron Hernandez skipping across the parking lot.
One of the dumbest criminals of the century here, just led the prosecutors right to his front door.
The chain of events was right there on camera. It was very compelling proof of foul play, of murder.
9 days after the murder, on June 26th, Aaron Hernandez is arrested at his home and charged with first-degree murder.
90 minutes after he was arrested, the New England Patriots cut Aaron Hernandez from the team.
I and other members of the organization were shocked.
The Odin Lloyd case isn't the only legal trouble Hernandez is facing. Acting on an anonymous tip, police discover the vehicle used in the 2012 shooting murders of Safiro Furtado and Daniel de Abreu. It's been hidden in a garage belonging to Aaron Hernandez's uncle. In May of 2014, Hernandez is indicted for the murders. 8 months later, Hernandez goes on trial for the killing of Odin Lloyd, and a media frenzy ensues.
It was insane. It was the hottest ticket in town.
We hadn't seen such a high-profile murder case involving an athlete probably since O.J. Simpson.
Everybody wanted to be in that courtroom, and the court personnel had their hands full with us, and also members of the public who just wanted to come in and get a look at Aaron Hernandez and just watch this whole thing unfold.
Cheyenne Jenkins, Aaron's fiancée, is called to testify.
Cheyenne Jenkins had to be very careful on the stand, and we were all riveted. What would she say? Would she implicate him? Would she try to save herself and throw him under the bus? She didn't.
When Cheyenne is asked about the guns Aaron kept around the home, she offers few details.
How big was it?
I don't really remember the size.
She was very careful, and she just kept saying that she didn't know. And it was very clear to us that she was not going to betray Aaron Hernandez. In that testimony, she was going to do everything she could to save herself and at the same time save him. She was not going to play a role in his undoing.
It became so obvious towards the end of the trial that Hernandez was involved that his own defense attorneys even admitted he was there that night, but then tried to spin it that Aaron was just an innocent bystander who happened to be in the car, happened to be there. The other two men were not friends with Odin Lloyd. Aaron Hernandez is the only one who had the connection to Odin Lloyd.
Even New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft is called to testify.
He said he was not involved, that he was innocent.
After 10 weeks of testimony, more than 130 witnesses, and hundreds of pieces of evidence, the jury deliberates for 35 hours over a 7-day period.
For the jury, they had enough to show that Aaron Hernandez went into that yard with Odin Lloyd and left and knew what had happened and very much likely ordered what happened if he didn't do it himself.
The defendant not guilty, guilty of murder in the first degree.
For the shooting of his friend, Odin Lloyd, Aaron Hernandez was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
2 years later, Hernandez is tried for the 2012 double homicide of Daniel De Abreu and Safiro Furtado.
Hernandez hired a high-profile lawyer, Jose Baez, for his double murder trial. This was the same attorney who got Casey Anthony acquitted from killing her child.
The prosecution's star witness is Alexander Bradley, the friend whom Hernandez shot in the face. He testifies he was with Aaron on the night of the double shooting in Boston.
Yo! And then he started firing rounds into their vehicle.
The defense questions Bradley's credibility. They also bring up his criminal record and his role as the driver of the car the night of the shootings.
Jose Baez did a great job of painting enough doubt and putting enough doubt in the jury's mind that it just couldn't convict Aaron Hernandez without a shadow of a doubt that he was the killer of those two men.
On Good Friday, April 14th, 2017, the jury reaches a verdict.
Guilty of murder in the second degree.
Not guilty.
And so when that verdict was read, all that tension just was released, and the only thing left to do was cry. And he cried with relief.
There was a lot of anger around Boston, a lot of anger because it was pretty obvious that Aaron Hernandez was involved, and it looked like he was getting off on a technicality.
After Aaron Hernandez is acquitted, he goes back to Sousa Baranowski, the maximum security prison in Massachusetts, where he had been staying, serving his life sentence in the Odin Lloyd case.
While he was in prison, Aaron somehow got wind of an obscure Massachusetts law.
Acquitted, huh? Yeah. Congrats, man. And the other case is on appeal, right?
Yeah. Tell me something. You ever hear of this rumor that if somebody has an open appeal on their case and they die in prison, that they're acquitted of their charges and considered not guilty?
I can't say that I have, man.
Sounds pretty cool to me.
Aaron Hernandez had just been acquitted of a double murder trial. He was appealing the Odin Lloyd conviction. And by all accounts, he was in good spirits. So nobody was prepared for what was going to happen next.
April 19th, 2017. Alone in his cell, Hernandez writes John 3:16 across his forehead. He then cuts his hand and, using his own blood, scrawls cryptic messages on the walls of his cell. One is an image of an unfinished pyramid. Underneath it, Hernandez writes the word Illuminati.
Aaron Hernandez wrote 3 suicide notes. One of them to his fiancée, Cheyenne, one of them to his daughter, and a third to somebody whose identity has never been revealed.
In his suicide note to fiancée Cheyenne Jenkins, Hernandez writes,
You've always been my soulmate. And I want you to live life and know I'm always with you. This was the Almighty's plan, not mine. I love you. You're rich.
You're rich, he wrote to her. Did he know that there would be an opportunity now for Cheyenne Jenkins to collect the money that he had received in this contract that was taken away from him upon the charges? Perhaps. It's difficult to know.
What Aaron Hernandez did next was methodical and determined.
Hernandez rips up cardboard that he will force into the track of his cell door. This will prevent guards from coming to his aid.
He put soap and shampoo on the floor, and it's been theorized that he did that for one of 2 reasons: either to keep the guards from getting to him to rescue him, or, more disturbingly, to keep him from being able to get his footing. Either way, this was going to happen, and he was committed to it.
He tied a bedsheet around his neck, that he'd also tied around the window, and he essentially lowered himself to the floor until the sheet caught, and he asphyxiated. It's a terrible way to die. And to kill yourself that way, you have to want to die.
A guard discovers the body early the next morning. Left behind in the cell are an open Bible and 3 suicide letters.
The third suicide letter was allegedly written to a man who reports say was Aaron's prison boyfriend, but the contents of that letter have never been made public.
There are rumors that Hernandez was gay and Odin Lloyd was gonna tell the world about it. That has never been proven, that has never come out. We're still waiting to see if that third mysterious letter ever gets released.
Some reports will allege that Kyle Kennedy, a convicted robber, was Hernandez's jailhouse lover. Hernandez's attorney and Cheyenne Jenkins will claim the stories are false. Aaron Hernandez's family holds a private funeral for him in their hometown of Bristol, Connecticut.
A lot of people in Boston have zero sympathy for Aaron Hernandez. This is a guy who had everything in front of him, a superstar career, $40 million contract. He gets to play for the New England Patriots and win Super Bowls and catch passes from Tom Brady, and he threw it all away over what?
Before Hernandez's remains are cremated, his brain is donated to a research program at Boston University.
Aaron Hernandez had severe brain damage.
A researcher will describe seeing damage to the inner chambers of Aaron's brain, especially in the frontal lobes. These lobes are important in decision-making, judgment, and cognition.
It was discovered that Aaron had one of the worst cases of CTE that had ever been seen in a player his age.
CTE is very real. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which leads to brain injury over time. It's a repetitive injury as opposed to the single type of injury one might find in an automobile accident.
When you look at the scans of Aaron Hernandez's brain, you can see the parts that have atrophied. You can see the holes in the brain. And I'd never seen anything that looked like it. It was very obvious that there were physical signs of trauma on his head. So what led Aaron Hernandez down this path? Was it drugs? Was it the wrong friends? Was it the CTE? It was probably a combination of those, but we'll never know for sure.
Aaron Hernandez took his secrets about why he killed Odin Lloyd to the grave. In fact, till his dying day, he proclaimed his innocence and was confident he would be successful in his appeal and eventually released.
What I want to say about Aaron Hernandez is that I look forward to the day when folks can remember Odin Lloyd and forget about Aaron Hernandez. Odin really was a huge support for Ursula Ward, his mother. There isn't a day that goes by that Ursula doesn't grieve for her son. She carries on as best as she can, but it never leaves her. There's a piece missing that cannot be replaced, and she tries her best, but that's a pain that can never be relieved.
You know, Aaron Hernandez was a heinous person, and no one knew it. And that to me is the most shocking revelation of this whole story.
I truly believe that the person that I knew growing up is Aaron Hernandez, and the person that became him had a lot to do with the influences around him. Of course, you can't blame everything on other people, but man, it's sad. It's just sad. It hurt us. It just hurt us as people because he was our son. You know, he was the most important thing that came out of that area. If you say Bristol, you knew you saw Aaron Hernandez.
No one saw this coming. So as a journalist, it's to reinforce an important lesson that you just never know who these guys are. And so I'm very wary now of writing stories about guys who have redeemed themselves and have turned over a new leaf, and I'm a changed man now. Well, you know, you're saying all the right things, but Aaron Hernandez said all the right things too.